baseball. Phillies win NLDS 3-1, knocking out the top seed Braves for the second year in a row. Well, now the Dodgers don't have to sit up in here and be the only one that is seen as, chokers, because once again, the Braves did what they are very used to, choke in the playoffs. They did it for a long time in the 90s and pretty much didn't get back to the playoffs for a while and then started choking again. So pretty much they go out, they have the best record in all of baseball this year. They were called the most unbeatable team, period, point blank. They had the great pitchers, they had the great hitters, they had everything working in the right direction for this team. And then they ran into the buzzsaw, the Philadelphia Phillies. This team has been an annoyance for the Braves for the last few seasons, okay? And you knew going into it, if they did not get those first two wins in Atlanta, it was going to be very tough for them to win in Philadelphia, okay? Because you have to put some pressure on Philadelphia when you go into Philly. Philly split the first two games and were ecstatic about doing that because they knew if getting back to Philadelphia, they weren't going back to Atlanta. And we pretty much knew that as soon as they won game one, that this was going to be a difficult series for the Braves moving forward. The Braves got them a good win, a comeback win, game two. And then game three, they just couldn't stop the onslaught of homers that and momentum that came with the Braves with the Phillies home game. And then last night, it just turned into a straight up pitcher's duel. The Braves got the lead, and then they gave up 3 unanswered home runs. It's that simple. It's that simple. And when their star player, their MVP, Ronald Acuna, had a clutch moment that he could have been a great moment for him, but it winds up being a moment that's going to be, well, that was their best opportunity to win a game. He flies out with the bases loaded. Amazing. The bases were loaded. All he had to do was just hit a CNI single, some just over the top of an infielder's head, but no, he wanted to go for the glory and try to hit a home run. And it wound up not coming to that, because what happened was that it was a warning track flyout, and those ones really hurt, because you know that possibly if you would have just been a little easier on the hit, you could have probably got an actual hit. I'm not hating. I play baseball. I know how the game works. And there's times where you can power up and hit a home run, and then there's times where you got to just sit down and try to get yourself a quick base hit, something over the infielder's head, something that's going to drop in, or hit the ball as hard as you can to where they're not going to be able to get to it fast enough. But when you're looking for the homer, you better extend on it. But a lot of times in those situations, it's really tough because you're thinking way too much. And I'm not trying to say Ronald Acuna is not clutch, but let's dial it back on whatever expectations you guys had for this guy moving forward. He's a great player who had a great season. That doesn't mean that he's going to duplicate that every single year. And last night proved that to me, okay? So pretty much all in all, the Braves are going to get this shit into the stick here, because everybody feels that the Braves should have won this series, should be moving on, should be the World Series team. They've really made so many tickets confetti at this point. But do you understand? Vegas never made them a minus. Vegas always had them at plus 250, plus 280. Same thing with the Dodgers, because they understand how this baseball thing works. Nobody's guaranteed to get to the next level in the game. And that's exactly what this playoff just showed us, that nobody should expect to be advancing to the next round until they win in the round that they're already in. And that's where the top 3 teams got into trouble, because they didn't take those games as serious as they should have, in my opinion. I think that they should have been on the A game. Only team that seriously was in some trouble going into their playoff series was the Orioles. The Braves should be good enough to beat the Phillies by now. The Dodgers were superior compared to the Diamondbacks. They both dropped those series because they were both looking ahead to each other. It's that simple, okay? And at the end of the day, now we got the Phillies and the D-backs, and that's going to be our National League Championship Series. But once again, kudos to the Phillies. The Phillies, this is well deserved for this team. As I said, in 30 teams in 30 days. If you pick out anybody out the group that's not going to be a team that wins their division but can get into the World Series, it's the Phillies. And they did it again. Because I looked at the Phillies roster and I said to myself, this Phillies roster is special. They're not going to probably get to 100 wins because they're not going to have Bryce the first 90 days of the year. But once they get Bryce back, they'll turn into one of the best teams in baseball. And that's exactly what happened. So let's go ahead, jump into our next